Hi, Dr. Heidi Grant here, and welcome back to Season 3 of 3 Things to Do. If you haven't already, remember to hit that like button and please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all of everything that Season 3 has to offer. Today's topic is a really timely one for the beginning of 2022. It's one we talk about at the beginning of every year. It's setting goals and reaching them. And in this episode, you're going to learn 3 things to do to set goals in a way that you'll be more likely to reach them. Of course, this is something we always think about in terms of New Year's resolutions. Every year, the new year seems to bring new opportunities to be better people than we were the year before. And that's a really noble thing. It's a beautiful thing that we all look at every new year as a way to reinvent ourselves, to get a little closer to being the people that we really always wanted to be happier, to be healthier, to be more successful. The problem is that often when we go about setting goals, we do so in ways that actually make it harder for us to actually achieve them. So today I want to share 3 science-based tips for setting out when you're starting to set a goal in a way that's going to make you more likely to actually finish. The first is to be very specific. In fact, be specific enough that you know whether or not you've reached the goal. That may sound a little obvious or intuitive, but the truth is, a lot of us, when we set goals, we set them in a very general or abstract way. So we'll make a goal to lose some weight, but a better goal would be to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, a specific amount of weight. We might make a goal to exercise more regularly, but a better goal is to exercise once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. You might have a kind of an interpersonal goal, right? A relationship goal. You want to be more in touch with your parents. A better goal would be to make sure that you call your parents at least once a week. You might have a goal of writing a book or writing a play, writing a novel. A better goal would be to say, in 3 months, I want to have written 4 chapters. When we get really specific about our goals, we're much more likely to reach them, in part because it makes it a lot easier for us to tell whether or not we're making enough progress. After all, what does it mean to lose some weight, right? Is it a pound? Is it 2? The more specific we are, the more we tend to pay attention to our goals, to make better choices that facilitate actually reaching our goals, and to know when we kind of have to step it up a little, to know when we have to do a little bit more in order to close the gap. So that's a really important thing to do. Set goals that are so specific, you'll know whether or not you reach them. The next thing that's really important to do is to make sure that you are focusing on short-term goals, not just long-term ones. This is another really common mistake. People love to think about the future, right? They love to think about what they'll be someday. And they set goals for themselves about the long term, right? One day I want to, sell a famous novel, or one day I want to be president of my own company. But it's important to sort of balance setting those long-term goals with goals that are in the here and now. What you're going to do this week, this month, right? Maybe in the first half of 2022. What do you want to accomplish? Psychologists talk about this as a difference of levels of construal, right? There's sort of concrete things that we do in the short term and abstract things that we do in the long term. You want to be thinking about both. So you want to set those short-term goals, again, so that you can be sure that you're making regular progress, right? You're really executing on that long-term vision. But it is important to keep the long-term vision in mind as well, because that's what we find really motivating. It's the fact that you want to be president of your own company someday that's going to keep you going when times get hard. So you want to strike that right balance. Be focusing both on the short-term and the long-term. And finally, when you set goals for yourself in 2022, remember to be what I like to call a realistic optimist, right? You want to be an optimist because you want to believe that you're going to be able to reach the goal. That's really important. We know that when people don't believe that they're going to be successful, they tend to not even try, right? So that belief in yourself, that belief that you can actually succeed is really, really important. But people sometimes take it a little bit too far. They think that it's so important to be positive all the time that they really don't want to think about how hard it's going to be to get there. And research shows that that really is the most productive and effective balance. You want to be confident that you'll succeed while embracing the fact that it isn't going to be easy. And there's a lot of research that shows, for example, that when people do try to lose weight, they're much more successful when they believe that they can lose the weight, but they recognize and acknowledge that it's going to be hard, that fighting off all of that temptation, breaking old habits and creating new ones, that takes work, that takes attention and energy, and sometimes you're not going to want to do it. But if you really embrace that idea that there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be setbacks, if there's going to be effort that you have to put in, it turns out you're much more prepared for that journey and therefore much more likely to be successful. So any goal you happen to be setting for yourself in 2022, remember to set it with realistic optimism. Believe in yourself and that you'll get there, but know that the going won't always be easy, and be ready when that happens. So let's go over those 3 things to do one more time. The first, set goals specific enough that you know when you've reached them. The second, balance thinking about short-term goals with long-term goals. And the third thing to do, be a realistic optimist. Know that you can succeed, but know the road might be a little rocky along the way. Welcome back again to 3 Things to Do, and thank you so much for tuning in. It is wonderful to get to share the 3 things of all kinds of things with all of you again. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear all of the amazing tips that 3 Things to Do Season 3 has to offer. Thanks for tuning in.